Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our sins as we forgive those who sin against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For yours is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever, forever and ever.
A famous novelist once said that there are really only two plots to all the stories that have ever been told. A stranger came to town, or someone went on a journey. In this program, we're going to encounter both. I ask you to join me on a journey into the world of the Lord's Prayer. Now, when going there, we may just meet that stranger who's coming and looking for us. We begin here in Nazareth. Nazareth is the hometown of Jesus. This restored village gives us a wonderful sense of the setting in which Jesus spent his formative years. Here he worked in his father Joseph's carpenter shop. And we shall follow from here to other places that were important in the life of Jesus, places that fit with the wording of the prayer. I've come here to the Holy Land with my son Bill and my 15-year-old granddaughter Michelle. It was Bill's idea to do these programs. Michelle is the first of my 4 granddaughters. She's the one who showed me what a great joy God saves to give us when the grandkids start arriving. This program is built on our previous one. It's called You Don't Have to Be Afraid Anymore, Reflections on the 23rd Psalm for People with Cancer. The reception to that program was so encouraging that we planned this follow-up also for people with cancer. Both were approached as an expression of my gratitude for having survived an advanced cancer for the past 5 years when I was given little hope to last even 1 year. But our scope widened to address other health issues as well, and I really didn't have much choice about that. Over the past several months, I experienced rounds of congestive heart failure and the need for a pacemaker. Other problems began to pile on. 5 hospitalizations in 4 months and 1 middle-of-the-night trip to the emergency room. Then there was E. coli poisoning and later blood poisoning, and then a huge kidney stone that was some 9 by 15 millimeters. Actually, not a stone, but a boulder, the doctor said. That's not all, but I think enough said. I began to long for the good old days when all I had to deal with was cancer. So all of that has led to a broadening of our approach. We want to include other health crises as well. And as we journey together, we're going to tap into the riches of the Lord's Prayer. You'll find this can be like lifting a shade in a dark room and opening a window with fresh air rushing in, and where we see a view that will lift our spirits. There are two places in the Gospels where the Lord's Prayer is given. The first is part of the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew 6, and at a time of private teaching with his apostles, recorded in Luke 11. This was in response to their request that he teach them how to pray. Now, the wording differs slightly in the two places, as the prayer was no doubt used on many different occasions, and so there'd be slight variations. The prayer, as given by Jesus, seems to have two primary uses. First, as words to repeat as they're given, but not just to rattle off in some mechanical fashion. In fact, in the very same place that Jesus gave the Lord's Prayer as part of the Sermon on the Mount, he warned about what he called vain repetitions. The prayer is also a model. It provides a structure, an outline, key themes for reflection. And I'd like to emphasize that the Lord's Prayer is really not just a way of praying. It's an orientation to reality and to the world. It becomes a way of seeing. And we will see, as we go through this program, that we're not alone. No matter how hopeless our situation or how difficult our health crisis, we do not have to feel abandoned. When this prayer is uttered from the heart, it can change things for us because it will change us. We may not know what to expect, and we may pray out of desperation, loneliness, or pain, but it's precisely in such horrible situations that God's surprising answers can come. It's important to realize where this prayer comes from. It's not from a religious lecture in a stained glass setting. No, the words of the Lord's Prayer were given to us by a young man in his 30s who walked these very streets. He knew that his days were numbered. He repeatedly warned his disciples of a terrible fate that awaited him. He had less than 3 years to live. He was truly a dead man walking. But this dead man walking taught us how to live and think and pray, no matter how difficult our situation might be. Now, here's the paradox. When we go through cancer or any health crisis, there often comes that feeling that our world is shrinking and the walls are closing in on us. We see things slip more and more out of our control. But in this prayer, Jesus leads us to let our world grow, to learn how to become a citizen of the universe, and in the process, even in pain, even with the frustrations of disability, there can come a joy and a feeling of rightness about our world that we never would have experienced otherwise. I think it comes down to something like this. Our natural tendency, as well as cultural conditioning, presses us to live in a house of mirrors. There, we're preoccupied with our own selves and our own needs. But the Lord's Prayer encourages us to live in a house of windows, with a view to a different world, a larger world. And that enables us to see ourselves and our needs in a new light. Now, hi Michelle, come on along. To show that is the job ahead of us on this journey. So let the journey begin.